What's up, everybody? I'm Ed.
And I'm Mindy, and welcome to Moments. So this is a new series that we are doing to share our God stories. Moments in our life that have had an impacting change for the better for us. Also, we're going to pull stories from the Bible that link to our real life moments just to put some context to them. So if you have a God story that you have, we would love to hear it.
Yes.
And you never know, you may get to join us live to share your moment. So if you would like to, please submit your God story to moments@biopryproject.com. All right, so for our first story, Ed is going to be sharing a story that is very personal to him. All right, baby, are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Okay, tell us your story.
All right, so this story is it's going on for like 10 years now. It's been almost 10 years, and it starts in December 31st of 2009. It is a New Year's Eve. And we are at a party, a friend of mine's party, to welcome in the new year. And it's getting late. It's getting around 10 o'clock or so. And I saw Mindy, and you weren't feeling too good. Mindy wasn't feeling too well. So I said, you know what? Let's just go home and just welcome in the new year at home, because it didn't make sense to be there and her go through all that. So we went home, and we went to bed. We actually...
It's really nice, actually.
We went to bed, and while I was sleeping, the clock struck midnight, and Mindy woke me up. And when she woke me up, she said, "Happy New Year," and she handed me a present. And at first, when I got the present, I was like, oh my gosh. I did not get you a present. I didn't know that this is what we do now on New Year's. This is like a new rule.
For 4 years.
I know. I'm like, since when do we give presents away, right? But she's like, no, it's okay. I want you to open the present up. So I opened it up, and it was the pregnancy test of Jordan. So like, I was very shocked. We're having a baby. This is how my New Year starts. And tell them how I reacted.
Okay, so backtrack a little bit. We decided together that it was the right time in our marriage to start a family. So we had been trying on purpose to get pregnant.
Right.
And so when I gave him this gift, I thought that this was going to be a good thing and that we were going to be excited and celebrate together. But no, he looked at it. I saw the color drain from his face, the panic set in his eyes, and he got up and he left me. And he went to the bathroom and shut the door and stayed in there for like 30 minutes. And I'm just sitting on the bed going, what just happened?
Now, don't get me wrong. I was excited. Okay, there was excitement in my heart, but yes, there was some reality that hit me right away. And imagine, you're starting the new year, literally minutes from midnight, and you're like, okay, well now instead of providing for two of us, I have to provide for three, and it was just a shock for me. And but in that moment, I really turned into a provider mode. I started figuring out, what does this look like? What is this going to be? How is this new dynamic going to be for our family? And at that time, we had good jobs. I was working IT full time. Mindy was working at another company which had great benefits and great, just a lot of perks where she worked. And but for us and our lifestyle, I just knew that it's a lot of money to raise a kid, especially if you need to put them into daycare. And those that are watching, if you have children, you know how hard it is or how expensive it is to have an infant go into a child care.
It's like another mortgage.
It was incredible, and that was 10 years ago. Imagine it now. I can just imagine how much it is. So with our incomes, I just felt like there's no way that we could do to live the lifestyle that we have with just our incomes. So I had to make a choice, and literally within the time, I'm thinking, I need to get another job. In order for me to start saving money for the baby. And so what I did was that same week we went on a cruise and we came back, and I immediately started calling some of my old jobs that I've had, and I used to work in telecommunications, so I worked at Sprint, and I immediately called my old boss, and he was like, "Yes, come back. We got you. I don't care how many hours you're working." I was like, "Yes," and when I did, and this is also don't burn any bridges. Don't burn any bridges. You leave on good terms. So I was able to start working at Sprint, and I was working my full-time job at IT. I was working actually with my dad. My dad had his own company. And I was helping my dad as well. I was very active in a church and helping out a church. And then now I have this job at working at Sprint. And actually, they're not all in the same area.
No.
And I was just thinking about that. They're all in some different cities. I had a lot of commuting. So I'm working all these jobs. And then I had another opportunity come up later on where Apple hired me, and then I couldn't add another place, so I had to pick one. So I left Sprint and I went to Apple, and I started working at Apple. So I'm working all these jobs. I'm working so hard. I'm not seeing you at all.
No.
I don't see Mindy. I mean, the pregnancy. I mean, I'll see her here and there, but it was very, very little. We had no time for each other. And I remember one day, I was at Apple, and I was working with a customer, and I almost fell over. I almost collapsed, and I was like, something's wrong. So I remember I was coming home. I called Mindy right away, and I let her know. I said, "Babe, I'm not feeling too well." And so when I got home, she said, "We need to go to the hospital." So we went to the hospital. My blood pressure was just through the roof. It was just crazy, like insane. I was in ICU for about a week. In ICU, and they couldn't figure out how to get my blood pressure down, just the way I was. And so I remember being in a hospital and just thinking, man, God, how can I sustain this? I can't sustain this. How am I going to have a newborn come into this? And I'm not even seeing my wife. How am I going to be there for my child? Yes, we're providing, I'm making money, and I'm saving money, but this is not what I envisioned starting a family would be like. So after I got out of the hospital, about a week after that, I went back to work, doing the same old grind, the same old routine. And I remember sitting in the parking lot at Apple, and I got a phone call. And when I got a phone call, it was a friend of ours, and saying that there was a church that was looking to get some work done, or had an opportunity. So I was thinking they needed my dad and myself to go out there as a company to do some work like normal. Needless to say, when I went there, they were actually offering me a position to take over a department, and I was actually pretty shocked because it's not what I thought we were doing. So I was like, I don't know. And they said, well, why don't you come back and interview to see if you would want to get the position. I said, okay, it doesn't hurt to take an interview. So I said, sure, I'll do the interview, no problem. And so I came home. Everything was good. That week, my interview was scheduled for a Sunday. And so that week, on Friday night, the same week, somebody decides to go into labor.
I didn't decide.
This one right here.
It just kind of happens.
So Mindy goes into labor Friday night. And our beautiful baby girl Jordan is born on Saturday, and that was just amazing. I'm so excited. Mindy's excited; she's tired, but also excited. And I'm holding my beautiful baby girl. So I said to Mindy on that Saturday, I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna call the church and I'm gonna cancel my appointment because we don't need that job. We're making enough money. And what did you say? I
said, absolutely not. You're going to that interview.
And we literally started arguing because I'm like, why? I do not want to leave the hospital with my newborn. We're fine to go get another job or work another job. We're doing okay. And I never saw myself working at a church. So it was like,
But I just knew the Holy Spirit said he has to go.
So, reluctantly, that Sunday I went and I did the interview, and I interviewed with the pastor, and everything sounded great. The position was phenomenal, but I was still I was still working all these other jobs. I didn't see the true benefit yet, but I did feel this is really cool. It's such a great opportunity. Until the pastor says to me, if you do take this opportunity, you do take this job, when would you bring your daughter? And I'm thinking to myself, what does that mean? Because my daughter's just born. When would you mean? She's like, well, we have a child care here from infant all the way to pre-K, and because your staff, it's pretty much free. Like, it's nominal cost. And my jaw literally dropped. I mean, it didn't drop in front of him, but in my mouth it dropped. Because literally, God spoke to me instantly in that room, in that interview. And he said, Edson, I've already provided for you. And I said, oh my gosh, God, the answer is here. Mm-hmm. See, what I realized and what I learned is that I killed myself for 9 months. I did not enjoy the pregnancy at all with Mindy. And I know most people don't enjoy a pregnancy, but I didn't enjoy time with Mindy at all for 9 months because I thought I had the control that I had to take to provide on my own. I never once did I ever consult or pray to God and give him my situation. And I learned from that saying, I will never do that again because my God provided on time.
And it was already in the works.
Yes.
We didn't know it, but we didn't stop and trust God to say, okay, you already have a plan. We just need to be patient and wait for it.
Exactly. And the craziest thing is that Jordan's born on Saturday, and on a Sunday, the answer's there. Like immediately. It was like, bam, there's your answer. You worked 9 months for this, and I was giving it to you willingly for free. Mm-hmm. It's done. The plan was already made. And I said, I will never do that again. I will never make a choice. So I had to learn to trust in the Lord. Mm-hmm. That he has all my plans in his hands because he has a purpose for our family. He has a purpose for me. And it just really, really spoke to me. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked that he's an on-time God. He's a God of perfect timing. Mm-hmm. And, if I never even went to him one time, he still had a plan for me. Yep. And that's the crazy thing, how much he loves me. And that reminds me when I look back is that he always provided for us. Mm-hmm. Not just in this situation, but in other situations, we've never lacked. No. We've never lacked in anything. Mm-hmm. God has always figured out a way or had a plan for what he wanted us in our life. And it's incredible. Mm-hmm. You know what it does remind me of? Mm-hmm. It reminds me of a verse in the Bible, a scripture in the Bible. And it's found in Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 5 through 6.
Which is actually my life verse.
Is it really?
I live by that verse.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Well, in that verse, in Proverbs, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. It's so true. He will direct your path. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing is when you read that verse, I didn't obey it at all. I failed. I didn't acknowledge him. Nope. I didn't go to him at all. But yet he still directed my path. Mm-hmm. So, I want to say this to you. I know that right now, we're in a time right now where it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, especially with this virus. And I know that some of you that are watching right now are maybe been affected some way, some shape with this virus. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you got impacted with your health, or just in a really rough time. I want you to know that God has a plan for you. Mm-hmm. God has a plan for you. And all you need to do is trust him. Trust me. Trust him. You may not understand it. It may not come the way you think it's supposed to come. But if you trust in God, he will give you what is needed on his time. Mm-hmm. So that's what I learned. And that's my story.
Well, it is a really good story. Thank you for sharing, my love.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining with us today to hear our God story. Now, our story was fun and it brought life into the world and you know, it's a good uplifting story, but we understand that there are those of you out there who may not be going through such a great time in your life. You might feel alone, you might feel in need, whatever the case may be. We want to pray for you. So if you have a prayer request, please email us at prayer@viaproject.com. I assure you that we will read those prayer requests and we will put you on our list, and Ed and I will and are always praying for you. So please send us your requests so that we can pray for you. Also, don't forget to send us your God stories. We want to hear from you and we want to have you on our show. So if you have a God story, please email us at moments@viaproject.com.
Yeah, and we want to thank those that have already sent your stories. Let me just tell you, it is awesome. We were reading through some of them, and it is so encouraging. And it's amazing to see how God has done so many amazing things already in your life. So we can't wait to share those as well. Also, we are uploading this series every week on Sundays. So make sure you come back and check it out. I love it. I love that we could be able to share this. Yeah. And if this is your first time here on the Viaproj Project, first off, give us a like on this video. It helps us out a lot. And also, we would love to have you a part of our family. We would love for you to subscribe and just hit that notification bell as well. We do have a saying here in the Viaproj Project that we always say this, and that is to remember to always dream big.
And do big things.
We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.